The past defines the present. They're the pathways of our destiny at the root of every problem. Krakoa, the point, Cradle 4. And no one's roots run quite as deep as Logan's. I try to reassure him that Professor Xavier and I have had this procedure well in hand, but we all know we're heading into the unexplored territory. Sending Wolverine's consciousness back through time requires me to act as his mental anchor, in the here and now, keeping his mind safe no matter where this journey leads. But doing that means I have to understand his memories, unearthing the thoughts and feelings that made him who he is today. We've shared a lot over the years, but this is so much more. A level of trust I never imagined. Logan, it's me, Jean Grey, watching over you, seeing your past. You're a warrior willing to sacrifice for what you believe in, but your soul is much older than our time together. And I need to understand more if I'm going to keep you safe. I know it's difficult, but please, show me where it all began. The late 19th century, a large estate in rural Alberta, Canada. I never would have imagined his childhood like this. And based on the tension I feel, I know it won't last.
Rose, wait for me!
Your name is James Howlett, heir to a large fortune with a broken family. You're small and frail. You fear you won't live long enough to become a man. But you're a mutant, James, and change is coming.
You killed him! You killed my papa! I'll kill you back! I'll kill you!
In a moment of pure terror and anger, your body will evolve, and nothing will ever be the same. The first of so many tragedies.
No!
The past defines the present, and Logan, your past is like no other. After the death of your father, you flee with your friend Rose to a remote mining town in the Yukon, a place to hide and build a new identity. Your body is growing strong, but your mind is still fragile. The trauma of your mutant transformation is hard to confront. Your memories of who you were before are pushed out of reach. When Rose calls you Logan, you accept it as your name from then on. You fight for the thrill. It's an outlet for anger. The crowd loves it. They call you the Wolverine. But when the childhood friend you called Dog tracks you down and wants you dead, the animal inside you won't be held back any longer. The Wolverine is real. And when Rose tries to stop your violent rampage, you accidentally kill her.
Rose, no!
When the claws come out, death is always close at hand. The beast within will not be contained. You flee again, this time from your humanity entirely. No words, no fears, only instinct. But rumors of an animal man are enticing to those who hunt for glory and money. A man named Hugo and his accomplices, Saul Creed and his sister Clara, finally catch you. Hugo keeps you locked up as a circus freak.
The clawed man of the woods! The marvel of the modern age!
Until Nathaniel Essex, the man secretly known as Mr. Sinister, convinces Hugo to let him run some experiments. The first of many grisly operations done to you under the guise of science. Your healing factor is strong. You will not die, even though part of you wishes you could. The only way to escape is more violence, more anguish. I thought the animal rage was a sickness. I thought you could be helped. But that animal part isn't the problem, is it? The problem is the man. And the man you are is a damn cold-hearted killer. So you search for a place where the man and the animal can each have their fill. Canada has always been your home, Logan, but your animal side needs to explore. Your first few trips to the US are unsatisfying. You can feel old memories following at every turn. So you board a ship to Asia, looking to escape the past. What you find is Madripoor, an island nation filled to the brim with traders, treasure, and thieves. A perfect place to lose yourself and satisfy hedonistic urges. That's where you meet the woman called Seraph. Small in size, but towering in presence. She sees the man and beast inside you and wants them both. Seraph sets you loose in the bedroom, and in Madripoor as well. You call yourself a freelancer, but the truth is, you're already being manipulated by the larger forces she answers to. The ninja clan called the Hand, and a mystery man known as Romulus. On a trip to Tokyo, the Hand forces you into a meeting where you meet Victor Creed for the first time. You think this is just a random encounter, but Victor has been tracking you for years after you killed his brother Saul. The Wolverine and the Sabretooth are bound in a bloody vendetta that will carry on for over a century. Years of mercenary violence begin to take their toll. The beast is unsatisfied, and so is the man. So you decide to break ties with Seraph and leave the freelancer life behind. A return to Canada brings a surprising amount of solace and unexpected love from a woman named Silver Fox. For the first time since you were a child, happiness is within reach, and the animal inside you is quiet. But the past never lets go. Victor Creed slays Silver Fox on your birthday. The beast you prayed you could leave behind is what you need to survive. Against Victor, and against a world that hates and fears you. Another period of violence grips you. You're looking for purpose and discipline. After a stint as a mercenary for the Hudson Bay Company, Frederick Hudson recruits you for a special unit of the Canadian military. They're called the Devil's Brigade. And when England enters World War I, you're on the front lines, unleashing your fury for king and country. War changes everyone, even the Wolverine. Untold horrors shake you to your core. And when an angel of death appears before you on the battlefield, you wonder if anything will ever feel real again. After World War I ends, you drift from place to place for several years. No mission, even less ambition. In Shanghai, you happen across a man called Logan.
You have surprised me this day, Westerner. If you should ever decide to study the martial arts, please present yourself at the Logan Ryu Dojo in Kanazawa, and I will fill the void within your mind, body, and soul.
You refuse his invitation at the time, but the thought of it sticks with you. In the Sonoran Desert, you meet Raven Darkholm and save her from a firing squad. She hasn't started calling herself Mystique yet, but in every other way, she's the conniving manipulator we still know today. Raven wants to build a family of thieves in Kansas City, but you don't trust anyone anymore. You're the one to blame when her big bank heist falls apart. You try to set the animal inside free again, which gets you thrown in another circus as the amazing immortal man, until it burns down and you escape. In a fit of nostalgia, you board a ship back to Madripoor, back to Seraph. She welcomes you home, in a way only she can. You let yourself get swept up in whatever Seraph wants you to do. Enforcement, intimidation, assassination. For a time, it feels good to carry out tasks without a conscience. But deep down, you still hunger for something more out of this life. On a mission in Japan, you remember Ogun's offer and go to Kanazawa to train in the ways of the samurai. Ogun helps temper your animalistic side for several years, and you begin to see him as a surrogate father. But your master has demons of his own, and you leave with your training incomplete. Wanderlust takes you again, but this period of your life is hard to follow. Among glimpses of unclear memories tumbling out of sequence, I see you in Europe as fascism rears its head, fighting in the Spanish Civil War. From there, Seraph and her associates track you down. You're pulled back into her sultry circle. Seraph senses you want to do more than just break things and break people. So she sends you to Taras Romanov. He teaches you the art of espionage, and you show his ward Natasha hand-to-hand combat at the same time. By 1941, World War II is underway, and you're back in Madripoor working for Seraph as a spy. It's there that you meet your first costumed hero.
I'm supposed to be a symbol.
Never met one of those before.
America's super soldier, Captain America. America formally entered World War II in late 1941, but secret operations were already underway months before the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Devil's Brigade reformed. You and your fellow operatives are highly effective. Spies, soldiers, and assassins. You think you're doing the right thing when you save young Natasha Romanoff and kill the leader of the Hand, but all of it is in service to larger forces you can't possibly comprehend at the time. Fighting alongside Captain America and Nick Fury gives you a glimpse at a more heroic ideal. But secrets kept by Steve Rogers' partner Bucky confirm what you've already learned through decades of survival. There are no heroes, just weapons to be used and then discarded. Bucky will eventually become the Winter Soldier, a heartless killing machine, mind-controlled by the Soviets. You don't realize you're already being used in the same way by Seraph, Romulus, and a host of other manipulators operating behind the scenes. Shadowy men in hidden places command you to hunt down targets or wipe out any trace of their dark deeds. Italy, Greece, Poland, France, all of it blurs together, mission after mission, until the war finally comes to an end in 1945. Through the strangest turn of fate, you're in Hiroshima, at ground zero when the first nuclear bomb is dropped on Japan. The hell unleashed that day is beyond anything you've ever experienced. Your body survives thanks to your mutant healing factor, but your heart and soul are forever changed. Exhausted and delusioned, you're desperate to tame the violence inside you. Bando Sabura, master of the temple at Jasmine Falls in Honshu, welcomes you to stay, if you're willing to earn your place. You build a home there, both literally and figuratively, an act of creation instead of destruction. For the first time in decades, you feel like you might be able to escape your murderous past. And in this place of peace, you meet a woman named Itsu. She becomes your wife and will bring your child into the world. But it's only a moment's respite before the cycle of death takes hold once more. Logan, so many of your memories are murky and indistinct, but the night of this tragedy at Jasmine Falls is crystal clear. After many months teaching you meditation and other techniques for resisting your violent tendencies, Master Saburo decides it's time for a test. Attacked from all sides, will you succumb to your instincts? You keep your anger in check until a distant explosion distracts you, bringing forth your claws. Your time at the temple is over. You will not be welcome back unless you prove you are more man than beast. And then the dark forces working against you take even more. Your pregnant wife, Itsu, is slain in cold blood. It would be decades before you discover that the killer was Bucky Barnes, the mind-controlled assassin known as the Winter Soldier. You assumed your child was stillborn, but he had the same mutant healing factor as you, so he survived even after being taken from the womb by Romulus. His foster parents named him Akihiro, but in time, he would call himself Dakin. After many tragedies of his own, he is trained to kill and set on a path of revenge against the father he'd never met. But at the time, you know none of this. All you have is rage and grief pulling you back down into the depths of the beast. When you encounter Muramasa, a legendary swordsmith, he finds a purpose for your rage, painfully extracting a piece of the anger within your soul, and uses it to forge a blade of devastating power. Victor Creed collects you after Muramasa's draining process, but he's no longer the savage killer you fought in the past. Creed's mind has been altered. He's become a potent operative for Romulus, and now, so will you. Your memories during this period are a jumble of people and places. You think you're a free operator, taking on mercenary missions at will, but all of it is actually in service to hidden forces you don't yet understand. Your mind is a testing ground to keep you from escaping their machinations. The beast within you is subsumed. For years at a time, you forget you have claws or any mutant powers at all. During the Vietnam War, you find yourself in the thick of it, carrying out whatever dirty deeds you're ordered to complete. A chance mission with Nick Fury to hunt American agents infected with alien symbiotes is a chilling reminder that, with Captain America missing since World War II, every world power is trying to build the next super soldier. You experience more experimentation when you're recruited into a Black Ops unit called Team X, alongside Victor Creed, now calling himself Sabretooth, and David North, who calls himself Maverick. Your old title from the cage fights becomes your code name, Wolverine. On one of these missions, you first encounter Arkady Rosevich, the mutant murderer known as Omega Red, another attempt by Russia to create their own super soldier. After each assignment, your mind is wiped so you can't question your purpose or your past. But the process is imperfect. A test of your healing factor brings back old memories and your claws. You leave Team X, but your mind is still being controlled in ways you can't fathom. You're pulled deeper into covert operations as part of Department K, a secret Canadian intelligence agency. At every turn, you find more shadowy organizations bent on building their power base using mind control and an emerging population of mutants. You should have seen the signs. You should have fled while you still had the chance. Instead, caught off guard and kidnapped, you're forced into a new program. One that will change you forever. Weapon X. It took you a long time for you to remember this ordeal, Logan. The trauma of your transformation. Project Rebirth was the original name of the program that created Captain America, a new kind of weapon of war, a super soldier. In time, the program would be rebranded as Weapon Plus. The 10th iteration is called Weapon X, the freakish experiment that bonds indestructible adamantium to your skeleton. A man you know at the time only as the Professor spearheads the experiment alongside Dr. Abraham Cornelius and Dr. Carol Hines. Years later, you discover the Professor's name is Truett Hudson. He's a brilliant scientist, but also relentless in ambition and cruel in methodology. Your body is crafted into a puppet they can control. A hunter they believe will become the perfect assassin. Inside, your soul acknowledges every grueling procedure. A tortured place in your mind you still struggle with to this day. In time, the Weapon X program learns, as so many others have over the years, that trying to control you is a death sentence. The beast will find its way free. The beast will take its revenge. Delivered by claws that are now unbreakable. You wander the Canadian wilderness for days, weeks. It's a savage existence, but also simple and focused. No more missions. No more people trying to use you as their killing machine. Until you happen across James and Heather Hudson on their honeymoon in the Rockies. After the Weapon X experiments, your mind is fractured and incomplete. The revelation of your claws feels like a new torment brought upon you instead of the enduring legacy of your past. Was it coincidence that you encountered another Hudson out there in the wild? James Mac Hudson had just established Department H, a superhero activity program funded by the Canadian government. He wants to create a team of Canadian superheroes called the Flight to keep pace with the newly emerged Fantastic Four in America. Mac is looking for candidates, and there you are, the Wolverine. The colorful suit is Heather's idea, and you go along with it to please her. Once Department H is satisfied with your combat abilities, they test you against the biggest threat they can find. The Incredible Hulk. Our timelines move toward each other now, Logan. A father figure we both share. Professor Charles Xavier. Teacher. Mentor. And one of the most powerful mutant minds the world has ever seen. Your first meeting seems straightforward at first glance.
Professor Charles Xavier. At your service.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Charles offers a chance to leave the bureaucracy of Department H behind, and you spontaneously agree.
I'm resigning my commission. Effective immediately. Unless, of course, you have any further objections.
It feels like an act of rebellion, a way to chart your own path, but once again, you're being manipulated. The same forces who sent you on so many horrifying missions in the past want Xavier assassinated. And so, with a subtle mental push, you join his team. Our team. The Xmen. Charles assembles this uncanny group of mutants from around the globe to rescue 5 of his beloved students captured by Krakoa, the living island. Even with the odds against you, the mission is a success. You and the others bring us home safe. The first time we speak to each other, it's tense. You startled me.
One of the things I do best.
Your mind is a labyrinth of dark places filled with hidden secrets. Charles needs soldiers to fight the war coming for mutant kind. He senses great power within you, but also triggers put in place to make you someone else's weapon. When he scans your thoughts, you try to take his life. And so, once Charles recovers, he takes a drastic step. He blocks all embedded programming in your mind, but doing so also closes the door on many of your fleeting memories.
You will remember that you were an Xmen. And that is the only thing that matters.
Whatever you were before, now you're a hero. Still filled with animalistic rage and prone to violent outbursts, yet always striving to do the right thing and to save lives. When James Mac Hudson tries to force you to return to Department H, you refuse. Your loyalties are no longer rooted to that mercenary life. Adventures around the world and across the stars have forged a bond between us. Kurt, Scott, Piotr, Aurora, Sean, Hank, and me, Jean Grey. The Xmen are your family now. We fight for a world that hates and fears us. When your journeys take you back to Japan, a chance meeting with a woman in Agarashima stirs an unexpected warmth within you.
I'm called Wolverine.
Is that a name?
No, not really. Not between friends.
Her name is Mariko Yashida, and her love will finally lead you to a place of honor. Logan, I feel the bond growing between you and the Xmen. A bond strong as the adamantium that covers your bones and claws. Although you're still a capable killer, you save lethal force for those with lethal intent. When it looks like I died, you could fall back into your darkest impulses and turn away from the light. But you don't. Instead, you embrace the possibility of love. Mariko Yashida becomes your girlfriend and then your fiancé. Mariko's noble family is bound to Japan's criminal underworld, and you fight to free her from those generational obligations so she can marry you. When you first face her father, Shinjin, you use your claws, even when you shouldn't. An echo of the test you failed at Jasmine Falls. But these trials teach you new depths of honor and duty. A temperament you've never had before. You find the ability to forgive when you become a mentor to Rogue, a mutant villain looking for redemption. And teach responsibility to Kitty Pryde, the X-Men's young recruit, deeply in need of guidance. When you face your demon-tainted teacher, Ogun, you're able to resist the animal within you and show mercy, even when you're hunted and nearly killed by Yuriko Oyama, the woman who calls herself Lady Deathstrike. You're fearless when the time comes to sacrifice your life for a potent spell needed to stop an ancient evil called the Adversary. For anyone else, that courageous act would have been the end of their story. But the X-Men are just too stubborn to stay dead. Resurrected by cosmic forces and hidden from the world's prying eyes, you stay with the team, but also take on a new identity as Patch and explore your past in Madripoor. By the time you finally reunite with Mariko, her criminal ties will take her life. And in the end, all you can do is ease her suffering. You're on a better path. The path of an honor-bound warrior. But the sacrifice yet to come will test you like never before. Logan, your life has been a struggle to find balance. Decades of mental manipulation push you towards life as either a man or a beast. Animalistic rage, tempered by a moral code. When Magneto rips the adamantium out of your body, that balance crumbles. For a time, you almost lose yourself completely. The animal takes over and you're horrified at your transformation inside and out. Slowly, painfully, you find your way back to humanity. But that journey leaves you vulnerable to outside control and old foes bent on vengeance. Apocalypse returns adamantium to your bones and transforms you into death, one of his loyal horsemen. But you break free of his influence. The Hand, Hydra, Romulus, they all want you to act as their weapon, their assassin, their monster. Each attempt reminds you of the past you've been unable to remember, the memories just out of reach. Until when Wanda Maximoff alters reality and gives a handful of us our deepest desires, your history comes flooding back.
I remember my whole life. I remember all of it.
For the first time in over a century, you recall your complete past. You head forth to settle old debts and forge your future, even as it takes you to hell and back. Your legacy is built through the lives you've saved and the people you've taught to strive for higher ideals. You're a teacher, a soldier, a champion, and a friend to all of mutant kind as we build a new nation of X on Krakoa. Through it all, you've loved so many, but kept your heart guarded out of fear. Fear of who you are, and fear of what you've done. But now, right here, I see it all. Every part of you. Every blessing and curse. I'm honored you shared so much with me. Once this journey is done, I'll wipe these memories from my mind.
No, Jeannie. You're gonna keep them. Keep them safe. I trust you with them more than I trust myself.